Hi. So a couple of weeks ago, I think weeks or week or I don't know, I did a video about buying your first home, and I didn't really go into the costs, And I also did another video on property investment, but I feel like I didn't go into the actual costs that you must be aware of when you are investing in property, especially if you are going to be are doing it through the bank. So there are quite a number of costs. So that's what this video is about. So the first and most important is the deposit. The bank doesn't grant everyone 100% bond. So sometimes they'll require a 10% or up to 20% deposit. And it's safer to just save before you go to the bank, so that you don't get disappointed. Just now you sign an offer to purchase and then you go to the bank and you want a bond, and then they can only give you 80% or 90%. So always just say, to be on the safe side, have at least 10% of the purchase price or 20%. Like, that's if you want to be really, really safe. Obviously the different banks will rate you differently, so you'll compare from all the banks. And then the next cost is the initiation fee. So the initiation fee is governed by the National Credit Act, and it's the same for everyone. So it's about 6,150, I think, yeah. And that can either be paid by you upfront, or the bank does give you the option to actually include it in the purchase, in the bond price. That will obviously have an effect on your monthly installment, but it won't be that much, because it's just like 6,000, so it won't be a huge. So you can include it in the bond price. Oh, and I just want to go back to the first one, the deposit. So even if the bank gives you 100% bond, it's a good idea to still have your deposit and to still rather say, it's fine, 100% is good, but I want you guys to give me 90%, so that your monthly installment are not so much. So the deposit also helps with reducing your monthly installments. The third cost is the transfer duty. So this is the tax that the government charges the buyer, the purchaser, for the transferring of the property. And this is for properties to, I think the value, now I can't remember, I think it's for properties from either 750,000, or I think it's higher now. I'm not too sure now about that. But the transfer duty is not for your affordable properties, your lower end properties. So those guys, we don't pay the transfer duty. I'm not gonna say that we don't pay the transfer duty. So people who are buying like R1,000,000 or whatever, those guys pay transfer duty. And then we have I have my notes here. Okay, we have the transfer costs. Okay, so the transfer costs are the conveyancers, whatever, that attorney, that the transferring attorney. So this is the guy that actually transfers the property from the previous owner's name to your name. So their costs are paid upfront. Okay, so all these costs, okay, not all of them. So the transferring costs are paid initially. I apologize, I don't know what's happening. So the transferring fees are paid upfront, and usually they are on demand. So the transferring attorney will not proceed until you paid their costs. Usually after you've went and signed with them, they give you 7 days to pay those costs. Then after you paid, then they can proceed with the transferring. So those are very important. These are also based on the value of the property. So when you're buying, some really awesome estate agents, not all of them do this, some really great ones, they give you cost thingy, I don't know what to call it, cost schedule or whatever, that shows you that depending on the value of the property, how much you're looking at in terms of the transfer costs. Very important. If they don't give you, go on Property 24, you'll find that table. It's a really, really nice table. Obviously it's just an indicator. So if you want to know the exact, it gives you more or less what. And I would say on the prices that they give you, add at least 5 or 10% more in terms of, in your own budget. Yeah, so budget for 10% more than what they tell you or what they give you on the table. So those are your transferring costs. Then you have the bond registration costs. So bond registration costs, these are the costs you pay the attorneys that are now going to register the mortgage bond over at the deeds office. So these are the attorneys that are appointed by the bank. So the first set of attorneys, the transferring attorneys, those are the ones that are appointed by the seller, and those are the ones that are going to transfer the bond from his name to your name. These ones are the ones that are registering the mortgage bond over now, that deed, to say that the bank has rights over this property because you took out a loan to buy it. Those guys also, you go into their offices, you sign with them, and they'll give you an invoice as well, and their amount is also payable on demand, or they'll say you have up to 7 days or something like that to pay them, then they can proceed. So these two costs, transferring costs and bond costs, they will not proceed with anything before you've paid them. So make sure that you have them. And most banks, as a matter of fact, all banks, okay, I don't know, there's this other blue bank that I think can give you more than 100%, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this one. But most banks do not fund those costs. They don't include them in the bond price. They don't give you more than 100%. So they don't give you that. So make sure that you save for them and you have them up front. This can be a huge disappointment, guys, because if you don't have them, then it's like all this work you've done was for nothing. You lose the property and you still will owe those guys, because there might be some cancellation fees that you will be liable for. And the estate agent, if you read the offer to purchase very carefully, it does say that you will be liable for their professional fee if the transaction does not go through because of you. And one of the hurdles that prevent people from going through is these costs that they were not aware of. So make sure that you have enough. Then we also have occupational rent. So occupational rent is if you're going to move in before. This is if you're going to move in before the transfer date, the bond registration date. Obviously, if you're not going to move in before that, then you don't have to worry so much about this. So this is the rent you'll be paying the owner before they, transfer the property into your name. Then we have the moving costs. I think this is obvious. Moving costs. Obviously, you need to budget for the moving, transportation, all of that. Yeah, I'm not gonna elaborate on this one. And then I'm gonna stay on this one for a while. There's this thing called HOC, homeowners cover. Then there's another one called life cover. So homeowners cover is the insurance for the actual bricks and mortar, all of that, like the actual structure, the building, and the geyser and all of that. So this is insurance that protects the property against any damage due to fire or things like that. This insurance the bank do not grant until you agree on the homeowners cover, right? Then the life cover, some banks call it bondability, some of them call it credit life insurance or whatever, but it's basically insurance on your life. This is in case you die, have a temporary or permanent disability, or if you get retrenched. So the last one, the retrenchment, some banks don't make it a prerequisite. So the main two are the death or the disability, comprehensive disability, which is permanent or temporary. So what happens is, if you die, then your property will be paid off. If you have a disability, a temporary disability, they'll pay every month for 12 months, I think, the month of the installment. If you have the temporary disability, then after they've paid for, I think the maximum they pay for 12 months. Most of them, they vary, but it's more or less the same cover. They all do the same thing. After they've paid for the 12 months and then they find that now this disability is permanent or whatever the case may be, then they'll either pay off the bond or they'll keep paying until the life of the bond. But most insurers will just pay off because it's cheaper to actually just pay it off instead of paying those monthly installments. And then this other optional one, but some banks actually want you to have this one. But I think it's a great idea to have this one, even though it's not a prerequisite. The retrenchment covers you in case of, obviously, retrenchment. They are going to pay your full installment for a period of 12 months. I think this is a great, like, I didn't know there was such a thing. It's awesome because at least you'll know that the bond is taken care of in case of retrenchment. So with both these insurances, what I want you guys to think about is, be aware of, is the fact that whichever bank is going to approve your bond, all the banks have their own insurers. They have a division, they have a assurance division within the bank, and they want to give business to that specific, obviously it's their business, they want to keep it. And I don't know if this is just me or this has just been my experience or whatever. Other people might have a different experience. What I found is the bank that gives you the bond is the one that charges you the most in terms of the interest. The homeowners cover and the life cover, it's like they know that you're going to be grateful that they gave you the bond, and you won't even think about changing the insurance until you have wasted so much money, until years later, or until maybe a year or months later. So what I want you to think about is you need to start shopping around for the homeowners cover and for the life cover. Shop around, like spend time, because the bank will give you a quote, and when they give you a quote, they give you with the insurance already. They're very smart. They want you to think that it's compulsory to get it with them, or they want you to think that it's worked into, and you don't even notice it until you're like, what, 600 rands or 700 rands? What is this for? Some people don't, look at those small amounts. One of those amounts is your homeowners cover and your life insurance. So be very careful about this one. Shop around. And what I found is with this other place that we had to buy, we found that in terms of the homeowners cover, they overcharged us by 600 rands. 600, not life. Yeah, the life. I mean, 600 rands, guys. Like, that's a lot of money. And I found an insurer where I only pay 260, yeah. And the other bank was making me pay close to 700 or even more than that, just for the life insurance. So this is a cost that you want to be very smart about. Shop around for the best deal, and you don't have to sign for their insurance. So when you're signing the bond documents, by the time you go to the attorneys, go with your own insurance papers and show them that I have my homeowner's insurance, I have my life cover. Here, this is for you. And they cannot reject it. Make sure that it covers everything they cover, because they'll tell you that the reason why yours is cheaper is because it's not covering everything. That is a lie. It's not true. You might even be tempted to think that, but it's not true. The only reason theirs is expensive is just because it is more expensive, or because they're trying to get as much money out of you as possible. So be aware of that and shop around. Like, I could preach about just this insurance. What I found out about these insurers is just crazy, especially with credit life insurance as well. Like, I just want to zero in on this. This credit life insurance is insurance that you get to cover against, it's the same things, death, disability, and retrenchment. So this is for any type of credit. It can either be for a personal loan, a credit card, all of them. And they when they give you this credit, they don't tell you, and it makes me so mad, because a lot of people and a lot of low income earners get credit, and they're not even aware that they even have this insurance, which is so frustrating, because some of them, when they get retrenched or what, they don't even know that they can claim, but they've been paying. And one of the reasons why their installments are so high is because this insurance is worked into that, and they're not even told that they can choose not to have it. They can choose to have another one, So yeah, be very aware of that. And the bank, you have that 30 days cooling off thingy, so you have 30 days to tell them to cancel. Even after you've signed the bond documentation, you can come back within 30 days and say, cancel it, give me this other one. Even after 30 days, they can't force you to stay. You can still come back and say, yes, you have those premiums, but going forward, I don't want to pay for your insurance anymore. So yeah. And then the next thing is your rates and taxes, the next cost. So the rates and taxes, I'm not too sure how they work this out, but after the transferring of the property is done, most municipalities require a deposit for connection, and I don't even understand what's this connection fee and whatnot, but they require some deposit. It ranges from I think 3 to 1,000 rand, or 1,500 or 2,000. Yeah, I don't know. I remember the first time we bought a place, that's what we had to pay. I don't know how they work it out, but that's one of the costs you need to be aware of. Just find out from the municipality. And then finally, the cost of having the property itself. So owning a property, there's maintenance that needs to be done by you. So as an owner, if you're not renting anymore, the painting, the gardening, all of that will be, your responsibility, unless obviously it's a complex, in which case you still be paying for, because you'll be paying the levies and the what services and all of that. So you just also need to be aware of those costs. So I've talked so much in this video. I feel like the homeowners insurance and the life insurance traumatized me, so that's why I do so much on them. But I hope you guys have learned something from this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Oh, okay, I forgot one thing. Subscribe, like, share. Okay, bye.